Well, I'm here this morning with Saghafi with Liberty Home Mortgage. Thanks for coming.
Thanks so much for having me.
The reason I'm having you is because we do have a lot of buyers that we work with. Our buyer specialists on the Dream Team, we have a lot of buyers, and they ask a lot of questions. So I figured have the expert in, and that way
Do the best we can.
we can get them done the right way. So one of the biggest questions, obviously, when we get a buyer that we're speaking to for the first time, they're worried about getting their pre-approval. They're worried it's going to hurt their credit. So what would you tell them on that?
Legitimately, every time, everyone is always scared and nervous about having their credit checked, but at the end of the day, without checking credit, there's absolutely nothing that any lender can do. So the credit does have to be checked, but I think a little bit too much gets put into a credit pull. Every time your credit gets checked, it only affects your scores by about 2 to 5 points is what the Fair Isaac Corporation says. So it's not as big of a deal as people make it out to be.
Okay, well that's great. And then the buyers are always worried too that what all do they need, what's their documents, and what's the importance of getting pre-approved up front?
Yeah, pre-approval up front is very important because nobody wants to waste their time, their money, their energy, or anybody else's time running around looking to buy a home, go halfway through a transaction, pay for things such as an appraisal or a home inspection, only to find out they don't qualify. So legitimately, to do a pre-approval correctly, they have to provide all their documentation up front, which the basic documents at least are 2 years of tax returns, 2 years of W-2s, 2 recent pay stubs, and 2 months of bank statements. There's a lot of other items that come along later, but initially that's what the borrower should provide.
That's not bad. That's easy to get and move forward with.
Definitely doable. It's things that everybody has. So it's nothing that people don't have, they just have to go and get it.
And when they're getting their pre-approval, say a lot of things we get to is, I spoke to a lender like a month or 2 ago and they ended up not going with them or something, and we suggest that they may have more than one pre-approval, or at least get to speak to another lender, and they're worried that that's going to take another nick on their credit scores.
Shopping around is never a bad thing, of course, but I do say you do want to limit your shopping, limit your credit checks and information like that. And hopefully, if the lender you're working with, you feel comfortable with them, they've educated you, they've provided you with all the information, there's not too much of a need to shop around.
Right, okay, well that's good. And then we're always not sure, when we check with the lender, yourself, how much money are they looking for to have down? And I think it's different depending on what kind of loans they get.
The down payment depends on the loan. Generally, there's 3 pieces of money that everybody has to pay attention to. There's the down payment, which if you go with a VA loan or a USD loan, something like that, those are 0 down loans. Okay. Then you move into FHA, which is a minimal down payment of 3.5% of the purchase price. So you always need a little money for the down payment. All of that can be gifted from family members. So we find a lot of times that when borrowers don't have the amount needed, they talk to family, and maybe they can get helped out in that way too.
Okay, and I know we're working with a buyer that's doing something like that right now, so that's great. And then I think the only other thing really at this time is that when they do get, speak to you and there might be an issue that they have to fix or they can't get approved right away, how does that work?
Legitimately, when someone gets declined for those issues, I mean, those are credit issues typically. Unfortunately, credit is not easy to fix.
Okay.
I always tell people patience is a virtue. Credit is easy to ruin and hard to fix.
All right.
But nonetheless, the most important thing is to get your hands on your credit, and then they have to take a very proactive approach to fixing it. Sometimes it's quick, within a few weeks. Most of the time it's a little bit longer. It could be up to a couple of years.
Oh wow, okay. So it could take a little bit longer, but
it could absolutely.
We'll keep working with them and help them out and get things going from there.
Absolutely.
Well, that's great. Well, that's a great start of informing our buyers that we work with, informing our buyer specialists, and they can move forward and hopefully speak to you soon.
I appreciate it as always. Thank you so
much.